Well, hey now, it's the Rob from 106.1 KISS FM here with my tag team partner in podcasting. Wave to the people, Jerry Valeri. What's going on, pal?
Hey, at one point, and I'd like the WWE to know this. At one point yesterday, my wife said, "Can we not have wrestling on the television?"
What'd you say?
I was like, "That's an unacceptable request." It's unacceptable. Listen, the kids. Here's how it works, because she does see it a lot. Like on a Sunday when I'm watching Battleground, I've got bad wrestling on TV all night. Kids go to bed after the second match. They want to watch the next day, so I come home from work and I put it on for them. So they watch Battleground. So there's another 3 hours on a Monday, and then we get the Raw. And so, I mean, every time she looks at the TV, there is pro wrestling on.
Do both kids like it or just Evan?
Evan loves it. Allie likes certain wrestlers, and she gets into it. If they don't get into stories too in depth, but it's fun to watch it through their eyes. Like they were both pumped up and patriotic for John Cena. Like when he won that flag match, for you and me, we always knew he was going to win it. And we were just waiting for Rusev, who set up the tables, to go through the tables. But watching it through it really is. You kind of almost wish that you still did believe that it was 100% real. Like,
that's completely relatable for me. I miss those days.
Like Evan throws his hands up. He's like, "Yes, John Cena." And like, he was so confused when like they were chanting "Cena sucks" and "Let's go Cena." He's like, "Everybody loves Cena, right?" And I was like, "Sure, buddy. Every one of your friends does."
For me, my John Cena was Bret Hart.
See, so you always loved, and mine was the Ultimate Warrior, who doesn't end up being my favorite of all time. But like, as a kid, like I just, I remember being super stressed out. That WrestleMania career match with Randy Savage, like I thought this could be the end for the Ultimate Warrior. Like I believed like it was legit, and it's hard for me to have that kind of emotion in a match anymore. You know what I mean? And that's. So it's fun to watch it with them. It's fun to see. I think that's sometimes why I give a pay-per-view a better grade, is because I see that from that perspective.
Sure. No,
they are still paying it off. It's all
valid. If part of your grading system involves watching it through the eyes of your children, again, I think that's valid. It's just all how you perceive it, I guess. Or people who started watching wrestling over the past 7 years might think that the product is different than like I started watching in 1994. You were watching in the 80s. Like we all have different expectations and what we interpret to be pro wrestling. And
now, how old were you when you started getting into it? Because I was like 6 or 7.
I was 11.
Did you think that it was scripted at the time or no?
No.
Did you not know?
I had like a good year where I thought it was real. Like, I'd say like SummerSlam 94 for about a year. I kind of knew something was fishy, but then there was like the year where I digested and understood that it's a work, that they are not hurting each other, at least intentionally, but I didn't know how it worked. And then kind of like towards the late 90s, towards the Attitude Era, I kind of learned how a match gets put together, why people are okay to lose and the way it all works. And that's when everything changed.
There are so many different eras of wrestling. You could say Attitude Era, the Rock and Wrestling, blah, blah, blah. But if you really break it down, there are also, in addition to that, there are generations of wrestling. And you have the generation of wrestling where, remember when they believed it. Well, my Uncle Simon believed it until the day he died, because he was of the generation that, when they'd go town to town, if you ran into a bad guy wrestler at a bar, he was a jerk to you on purpose, because he was always, kayfabe was alive and well, and they lived and died by their characters, and it was always a work at all times, and they never let you behind the curtain. And then you've got like our generation where you're behind the curtain, you like being behind the curtain, but when stuff's going on in the ring, you want them to still act, and you still want it to feel like a work. You still want it to feel real.
Right.
And now there's this new generation, and I can't believe I'm going to take the side of Jim Cornette on this one, but like when they're throwing like fake grenades into the ring and everybody's selling it, or the super kick parties, like I'm just not really into that at all. Like they've gone the other way, where there's no realism and nobody cares.
Yeah, but those are the guys on the independents who only their niche fans follow. I know people watch this show that follow independents, but like that's not gonna cross over, not legitimately. I mean, yeah, you've got Santino making a fake cobra out of a sock on his hand, and I know that it's not that far off from the fake grenade, but that's the fake grenade stuff. I don't think you're gonna see that hit the mainstream.
I hope not, because if we do, I'm going to sound like an old fuddy-duddy, like they're ruining the business. Like,
listen,
and I never.
we are. One thing I like about this show is we don't really have any ties to the business. We are, Dave Meltzer refers to his column, as his newsletter, his website, as the Wrestling Observer, but he has so many ties to the business that I think that calling him an observer isn't even giving him enough credit. We are legitimately observers of wrestling. We just watch it and we have opinions.
Right. I don't even dig around for the dirt. Like there's news out there that I don't know about unless you tell me half the time, because I don't even want to know half of it.
Yeah, and I do monitor the news sites for the rumor and innuendo, as some people call it, but I take it with a grain of salt. But I'm usually pretty good. It's so funny, whether you're talking about Vince Russo, whether you're talking about Bruce Pritchard or Jim Cornette, it's so funny, or even Eric Bischoff, the way they regard someone like Dave Meltzer and the dirt sheets in general. It's so funny because they always write them off as being illegitimate gossip, rumor mongers or whatever, when, dude, their stuff is right on the money like 95% of the time.
Yeah.
I think they're totally legit. I don't know why they are so staunch on, like, whenever Bruce Pritchard is around Dave Meltzer's name, he wants to his gut instinct is to always try to prove it wrong, whether it's wrong or it's not. It's so odd.
Because they don't want to think that there are leaks. They want to keep everything secret in the bag. They don't want storylines getting revealed. I'm sure it's very frustrating from the WWE's perspective, when you've got the road to WrestleMania, and we're coming out of the Royal Rumble and people are saying, well, I hear that they want The Undertaker to do a program with Roman Reigns, and I hear that they want Cena to be in a mixed tag against The Miz and Maurice. And you're like, that doesn't make any sense. That would be surprising. And then a month down the road, they do it. It's got to be upsetting to them that, Game of Thrones protects their script. Breaking Bad protects their script. Like, these shows protect their scripts. And in pro wrestling, for some reason, they can't protect it well enough. And so I actually, sometimes when that stuff leaks, I feel bad for the WWE.
Yeah, but first of all, why blame Dave is the first thing. And the second thing is, why will you go so much against the flow of the tide to try to make it seem like they're always wrong? I don't get that mentality. And for Bruce especially, all this stuff is in his rearview window. I know he works for TNA now, but like arguing about something Meltzer said in 1994 is confusing.
Right.
Especially when it was proved to be right. But we haven't even talked about Raw last night, and I don't know about you. I'm of the mentality that there honestly wasn't that much to talk about.
I'll say this, like, if you're giving Raw grades by the hour, I give that first hour an A. I thought that first hour was very entertaining and compelling, and I loved everything. I thought the Finn Balor Elias Sampson match was awesome. Those are two. No, Finn Balor not really, but Elias Sampson, they haven't given him a lot of time to show what he can do in the ring. I thought they put on a really good match. No DQ, kind of helped his style. You always knew how it was going to finish with the Bray Wyatt stuff. I like that they're easing Finn Balor down the road to the Demon, Like, I like that stuff. And I thought the opening segment was awesome. So I would say that. I would say that Raw came out very strong last night.
I thought the opening segment was, I wouldn't say awesome. I would say fine. It seemed like this was I don't think there was any chance, there was any second where I thought there would be anything besides the decision Kurt Angle made regarding the main event at SummerSlam.
Yeah, I get that. I could see the predictability of it taking away for you. But yes, I thought it was well done. And I thought every single person in the ring held their own on the mic, where sometimes I think that Roman gets outshined. He gets outshined in those situations, but he did a really good job. I thought Braun Strowman, I'm most impressed with Braun Strowman out of all of them, because he's the greenest out of everyone in that situation, and he's holding his own.
Sometimes I was actually worried that Kurt Angle might get swallowed, because he does sometimes. He can sometimes get thrown off of his game, especially when he's in there with some good talkers. But no, he did fine too. And you're right. The you know, people on the post show have been saying that the Samson character is not working for them. I don't have a problem with it. You know, like when he comes out, Brittany doesn't watch wrestling, but every time he's on screen, Brittany kind of groans with, you know, oh, this again. But I'll remind people that's the desired response.
Yeah, he's got a great look. He's a character, which I enjoy. He's good in the ring, and his gimmick's interesting to me. I like it. He's telling everyone to shut up, and he's going to sing. And my son gives him the exact reaction he's going for. Last night, my son Evan, he's 6 years old, and he went, "Oh, I hate this guy. He can't sing."
Right. Yeah. So I'm not going to say any of those things you mentioned, whether it be his character, whether it be his in-ring ability. Like, none of that stuff is like an A+ for me, but I'm still just like, I'm going to let him do his thing and either form an opinion. I'm not going to form an opinion yet. I've seen him have like 2 or 3 matches, and you know, the characters, it's something. I'm not writing it off.
And the WWE is doing something we've wanted them to do for a while, and I wish people would just appreciate it. They're building him up. They're finding a way to put him over without hurting Finn Balor, and while progressing Finn Balor and Bray Wyatt. They've got more than one story going on at once.
Yeah,
they're finding a way to wrap up the Finn Balor Elias Sampson feud, which was, I can see now, solely designed to get Elias Sampson elevated and get Finn Balor into a thing with Bray Wyatt. And it's good writing. I think that's a good example of how to write some storylines where they take Elias from here. I'm sure they'll screw it up, but because it's going to be Bray Wyatt versus the Demon at SummerSlam, you can just feel that coming down the road. But
I liked how when the lights came back, like when the lights went out for Bray and then they came back, and he's already inside Sister Abigail.
Yeah.
And then it was just like instantaneously, boom, hits it, and we're off and running. Like, I like that. So, yeah, no, that is written very efficiently. You mentioned that it's getting Elias over without hurting Finn Balor. Unless you're talking about, you know, the side of Finn Balor's head from a guitar shot, it's not hurting Finn Balor.
That was a heck of an El Kabong. That looked as brutal as, remember the Honky Tonk Man when he smashed that guitar over Jake the Snake Roberts' head, and Jake the Snake to this day say that guitar wasn't gimmicked, and the Honky Tonk Man says it was so gimmicked it was falling apart, but if you watch it, it like broke Jake's neck. Like Jake the Snake looks back at that moment and says that was the moment that really ruined his life, because he says that, you know, that led to the pills and the drugs, but I think there were pills and drugs before that moment.
I have a feeling he would have gotten there eventually.
He's going to find his way. It just was like an Uber. Got him there faster.
So, I have to be honest with you, Jer. After the 3 hours that was, the 3+ hours that was Battleground, I had a tough time staying focused on the 3+ hours of Raw last night. I do remember Enzo and Cass. I guess I'll use the word progressing, and the Big Show progression. And I'm glad. Listen, I'm happy that Enzo is not only is he not getting the win, he's not even getting offense in. And I think this is the proper way to book this. And eventually, when Enzo presumably does get the win somewhere down the line, whether it be whether Cass slips on a banana peel or something changes in Enzo to get that win, it's going to be special.
Yeah, I think Enzo will get a win, and he might get it at SummerSlam, and it's probably going to come in the form of a punch to the jaw from the Big Show. I'm okay with it. I think the stories. It's interesting. They took a story everybody cared about and still care about. They rushed. I think you and I agree. They rushed to get them in the ring with each other. They moved that along too quickly, just for it to now sit in this spot for too long. Instead, they could have taken a nice slow walk and made it to SummerSlam. Instead, they ran to this spot. Now they're going to stand here for 4 weeks, and then they're going to get to SummerSlam. Like they hurried up the wait, and I don't.
Yeah, well,
I don't know why they did that.
I don't know that Enzo and Cass are going to do it at SummerSlam. I feel like it's going to be Cass and Big Show at SummerSlam.
I'd be way okay with that, and have Enzo find a way to
But the thing
Cass
is,
to the point where Cass loses.
I mean, you had Enzo and Cass at Great Balls of Fire with tremendous interest, and if you just would have slow burned that through SummerSlam, which I admit is a long time, although also you could have waited a little bit if you needed to on the turn, but whatever.
Yeah, they didn't need to turn when they did. They could have waited till Great Balls of Fire to do the turn.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and then do your burn through SummerSlam. I really think the way to go, just because it's my opinion and the idea that I came up with, doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. But I thought the way to go would have been have Cass week after week to demand Enzo in the ring. And Enzo just keeps saying no, keeps turning it down. He loves Cass too much. They're brothers. And then eventually he does something so disturbing, so horrific, so something he can't come back from. He finally convinces Enzo to accept. And then you have it play out the way it did at Great Balls of Fire with, just a squash, essentially, a glorified squash.
That would be good. And, and I know Big Show's here to put Cass over, and he should be. I just hope at some point, I mean, they've got a cash cow with Enzo. They're gonna protect him at some point, I think.
I don't think wins and losses is really going to matter to Enzo. I think that Enzo is going to have the crowd and the Evans of the world, and even people like you and I who respect a good promo will always be there for him. I
think so. And we haven't mentioned it because it debuted while we were taking our break. But I like Big Cass's music. I was excited to hear what it was going to be. I remember when they broke up, I was like, when are they going to give him his own music? What's it going to be? I think it's good. I think it's good for him to sit.
Sure. Okay. I remember, like I said, I didn't feel much from Raw last night. It's just been exhausting. I do remember there was a great line that I loved with Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins when they were in the back. I loved the notion that Dean put out there where, Dean was telling Seth, I know you've got 3 people that you got to look out for. I've got 4. I loved that line. I thought it was very cerebral, and I didn't get it immediately at first. And then I'm like, oh, now it makes sense. And the crowd reacted accordingly. The crowd was like, burn.
Because he shouldn't trust him yet, and I like that. And I like the little mini Shield reunion, and I actually hope it continues because I think they both need it. But it can't happen just like, oh, okay, all is forgiven. Like, there was some super betrayal that went on, and it's going to take a little time to get back from that.
I feel like that this has to lead to, at some point, one of them going heel, fingers crossed for Rollins, but I'm thinking probably Ambrose. And it's got to lead to a match between those two, I would think, at some point.
If people in the back are as bored of or think that Dean Ambrose is as complacent as I've heard that they do, that maybe a Dean Ambrose heel turn probably isn't out of the realm of possibility. They think he's stale.
Yeah, I don't know if that's still the mentality. It certainly could be, but it's the wrong choice. I think Ambrose is legitimately over. Rollins has respect, but is a natural heel.
Yeah, Rollins needs to be a heel. Yeah. I agree with that.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Like I'm just trying to think what else the show had. Like that main event didn't do much for me as a main event.
No, me neither. I wanted to because I do care about that angle. It could have just been this was going on hour 7 of wrestling over the past 2 days. It could have just been that for me.
Yeah.
I did have a real strong thought that I haven't seen out there yet, but it hit me last night. What I think the end goal is here with this Jason Jordan thing.
Okay.
I think this is ultimately building for a match between Jason Jordan and Kurt Angle.
That would be great. I was waiting for Jason Jordan last night to do the Angle Slam. I was kind of hoping he was going to do the Angle Slam, but he didn't.
I like that. It's funny because I know they're not related, but they're kind of, I think they're kind of encouraging him to make Angle mannerisms. And after everyone said it on the post show last week, and I'm looking for it now, my God, they look very similar.
I thought they looked very similar. They really do, other than the fact that Jason Jordan's, black.
Right, that was why I immediately disregarded it as just being, goofy wrestling shtick. But now when I take that part out of it, they really have a similar look.
Yeah, and it's not like I ever studied American Alpha or studied Jason Jordan before, but it seemed to me like his moveset changed a little bit since this. Like it's more cross faces and suplexes and like single leg, double leg takedowns, and like he's always been a wrestler, but now he's like trying to look more like, hey, my dad's an Olympic gold medalist wrestler, and here we go. And it's interesting that if they're going to bring Angle back in the ring for a match, that it's not against Triple H or it's not against a Rock or something like that. It's going to be against Jason Jordan, which I think would be interesting.
Listen, I haven't heard this one anywhere. This one's right out of my own head. But I got it last night. It hit me. I don't remember what moment it was. I had an epiphany moment where I'm like, oh my gosh, this is definitely where they're going.
Well, yeah, because this Proud Papa stuff's going to wear thin in a while. So you're going to definitely have Jason Jordan be like, you weren't there my entire life. Like, you could write the promo now.
Yeah.
Like, you weren't there for me, and now all of a sudden you're trying to act like my dad. Bang, slam, boom, suplex city.
Yeah, and he say like, and guess where I learned this one from, Dad? That was from you or something. There's so much you can do with this. I just see that as where they're ultimately going. I don't think it will be SummerSlam. It could be WrestleMania. I mean, I don't exactly know. For a father-son feud, you're going to have to really get us invested that there's a relationship here.
It'd be a good, if you just look at the timeline, it'd be a good Royal Rumble match. Yeah,
there's a lot we can do, I feel like, here. And then I'm also hearing that now the plan is not for Angle to wrestle ever again. So I don't know.
Well, what's the state? When was the last time he wrestled? I know he was in TNA forever, but I've admitted I never watched TNA. So like,
it's not
how
too
bad
recent.
How bad is his neck?
Listen, WWE has really strict rules as far as who's allowed to step between the ropes. Independents and TNA don't. Okay. So I believe he's wrestled over the past year. I've
actually heard that about Daniel Bryan. I heard that.
Yeah, Daniel.
He knows he could wrestle somewhere if he wanted to.
Yeah, if he goes to Ring of Honor, they're not going to care how many concussions he's had. They're not a publicly traded company with an image to protect. Like, WWE's in a much different situation.
Right.
So outside of those things, I can't remember anything from Raw jumping out at me as being anything but wallpaper.
Yeah. Emma got squashed. I don't know why that stands out to me, but she did. She's like, I want an opportunity. And then she got destroyed by Nia Jax, and then that was the last we'll see of Emma for a while.
She said something about dating Angle's son.
Oh, yeah, she did. She's like, I'll just date your son. So maybe that's...
I don't remember what the context was, though.
Oh, it was give me a match, give me an opportunity, or maybe I'll just create an opportunity for myself by dating your son.
I don't even really get what that means. I just know I like it.
It basically said, I'm mad at you, so I'm gonna bang your son. And his son's probably like, yeah, get mad.
Don't give her the match, Dad.
I wish more people were mad at my dad all the time when I was in school.
No one got mad at my dad, ever. No one got mad at my dad until 11 years after he died.
Nobody was mad at him. Nobody wanted to spite bang you. There was no anger.
Yeah, it was awful.
The man was too nice. The man was too nice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, my life. Man, we got it. I loved it's around the 4 or 4.5 minute mark. Yesterday's podcast. And when you first dropped GD about your family showing up.
Oh, sorry for swearing on the podcast.
It's totally okay. It was so real. It was just such a moment. And it's just like, I love that Valeri is still feud of the year. It's just, man, it just hasn't stopped. It's been so awesome.
Last night, it was the same last night too. I mean, it was there were feuds. We had a feud yesterday because it was like, as I was in a bad mood, I was in a depressed mood because of that race. I told you. And at one point, she was like, "Stop being selfish and just get happy." And I was like, "Because that's gonna make me happy."
I can totally see you doing that.
DDT. I'm telling you, like, we're gonna have an Enzo and Cass. I just don't know who's Enzo yet. And who's Cass.
Awesome.
I think I may be Enzo. I think that's the problem here, and I don't have a big show to back me up.
I guess there's a Smackdown tonight, but I mean, interest is super low right now. Following, first of all this wrestling, and then second of all, that awful pay-per-view.
Well, I can't do. I just thought of it. I have a broadcast tomorrow at 11, so I can't do a recap tomorrow, but I can do one on Thursday.
Okay, we'll reconvene Thursday.
Yeah, and that'll give me some time to watch, because I don't know if I can watch SmackDown tonight. I just don't know. I was so upset. It's what you were about to say. This Battleground was terrible.
Oh yeah, it was a turd. I mean, we both gave it the lowest grade we've ever given a pay-per-view in the 1 year we've been doing this.
I've seen nobody anywhere defend it, and now they've got SmackDown tonight, and they have to know that interest is at like an all-time low.
I mean, I even talked about it with a few people who don't comment on the post show, some people here at the office, some of my friends back home in Pennsylvania. Like, no one has anything at all good to say about Sunday's pay-per-view.
And I read that the Great Khali is back.
Man. Well, we'll find out. You're probably right, I assume.
Well, he's listed as a superstar now on their website.
That's trouble. That's bad.
I did see that, and then I saw they think that it could be leading to a SummerSlam tag match.
Jinder and Khali versus Orton and Cena?
Yep.
Oh, brother. That's ugly.
That would be ugly. I would rather see them split it and have Orton and Khali go and then have Jinder defend the title. But, like, maybe they don't want 2 title matches on SummerSlam.
Since when?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm writing this crap. But that would be a brutal tag match to even watch on a regular good old Tuesday night.
See, I wouldn't, like, I could kind of go for like a Punjabi evolution with Khali in a Ric Flair role. You got Jinder in a Triple H role, and then the Singh brothers in like a Batista Orton kind of role. You're speechless.
You said Punjabi, and I'm done. I'm just like, I would not like to see a big. No, I wouldn't. I bring in Tiger Singh or Ali or whatever his name is while you're at it. I don't want to see a faction with the Great Khali in it.
Not only do we need Tiger Ali Singh, we need Sheiky Baby, the Iron Sheik.
I'll make you humble.
A pleasure for me, Mr. Jinder Mahal, Pontiac, Michigan, Mr. Vern Gagne, break your back, make you humble. Oh, that would be amazing.
I'll make you humble.
Every Indian star ever in wrestling, which I think we probably named them all, can join this table.
Well, no, you didn't say Tatanka, a different Indian.
Just throw him in there anyway. That'd be great. All right, listen.
1.3 billion people, and we have 4 bad wrestlers representing them.
All right, let's sign off. I got it. But until Thursday, like I said, or like Jerry said, we can't do one tomorrow, but we can give you one on Thursday. Thank you for tuning in. I mean, SmackDown's got to be fun to talk about. It's got to be such a turd.
Goodbye, Pontiac, Michigan.
Mr. Brian Blair, you are... I'm going to stop it there. Have a good rest of your Tuesday, everybody.
I'll make you humble. I'm going to say that to my wife when I get home tonight.